Well, hello. Hello, everybody. I hope I'm live. I think I'm live. I've just realised I haven't got my mains cable plugged in. Bear with me while I do that. Otherwise, we might go blank partway through. Okay. And turn it on. Do you know, I wish I had £1 for every time I have plugged my phone into the mains and forgotten to actually click that switch on the plug so that it's actually charging. But hopefully that will be fine this time. Have I tangled things? No, I haven't. I thought I'd got the cables all tangled up. Well, it's lovely to be here. I hope I can remember how to do this, having had a break last week. I hope you didn't tune in because I wasn't here. I was on holiday. But it's lovely to have you here. Hello, Maureen. I can see you're here. I'm just going to look at my iPad and make sure that I can see what's going on. Let me know how the picture is. Let me know how the sound is. Right, let's just have a look. See if I can find myself. And there I am, hooray. So it looks like I'm live. Jan is here. Hello, Jan, lovely to have you again. Okay, I'll put that where I can see it, and then hopefully I can see any comments you might be making. And if everything goes horribly wrong, I should also be able to tell, but you never know, do you? It's always an adventure going live on the interweb, as my daughter calls it. So, wow, it's almost the end of September, isn't it? It's starting to get autumnal outside. The mornings are cool, the evenings are cool, the days have been absolutely glorious, at least here in the New Forest. I don't know about anywhere else where you are, but certainly here it's been absolutely beautiful. Today it's quite breezy, but there's not a cloud in the sky. It's that beautiful bright blue autumn sky. The leaves aren't changing yet. I don't know if we'll continue to have sunshine when they do, but it's pretty nice here. So I'm very happy about that. We had a beautiful misty morning today, which I didn't manage to take any photos of. But at the bottom of my garden, we've got our fence, and then beyond that, our fields, and the mist was just hanging low over the fields. It was really lovely. So I consider myself very fortunate not to be in the middle of a city. Thank you, Maureen. She's saying that the sound and picture are okay. So that is always good to hear. And Mary's here, and I can see that Kay is here, so welcome to all of you. Right, well, I would like to know what your week has been like. I've had one of those catching up weeks. You know what it's like when you've been away. It doesn't matter whether you're still working or you're not working, but you come home and there's a pile of post for you, if you're lucky at the moment. We were lucky, there was lots of post. So there was lots of post to deal with. I had lots of emails. A few other messages. You know what it's like these days. You've got text messages, you've got WhatsApp, you've got Messenger, you've got email, so you've got comments left on Facebook, so all sorts of things. But I've been catching up on those, which has been lovely to do. Kay's saying afternoon to everybody, and Mary is saying that she is pleased to be here today after missing so many weeks. Yes, you've had all sorts of things happening, Mary, haven't you? You've had family down, you've had, you know, all sorts of things going on with your family. I won't go into details because I don't know how much you're sharing and how much you're not. I don't want to give any personal information, but it's been a bit of a busy time for you, and I'm very pleased that you're here. Okay, what are your plans for the weekend? That's my next question. Type them in and tell me. I haven't got any particular plans for this weekend. I have a load of boxes to unpack, which are from a class I did on Monday, just to help with the old making sure everything's germ free. I'm leaving things for a week before I unpack them, if I can. Sometimes I have to have a bit of a rummage and find something because I need it, but I'm trying to leave things for a week, and then I sanitize everything, and I think, well, you know, if a virus particle survives that, there's not much I can do about it. So I should be unpacking that, tidying up my craft room, which by the end of the week always looks like a bomb has hit it. I've got exciting things like ironing my husband's shirts to do, but if the weather's like this, I shall sit in the garden. I might do a little bit of light crafting and some reading maybe, and yeah, just take it easy because it'll be another busy week next week, which is just how I like it. Jan is saying hello to everybody. Okay, so what else have I done this week? I did my Fancy Folds class live, the first one in, goodness me, I don't know how long. I think the last Fancy Folds class with real people in the same room as me that I did was probably February 2020, so it's a very long time ago. But it was really, really lovely to meet up with everyone who had been previously doing the classes and a couple of people who hadn't done that particular class either. So in case you don't know, once a month, it's usually the third Monday morning of the month. Sometimes that changes, but usually the third Monday morning. I run a fancy fold cards class where we learn 2 really fancy, clever cards. They might be fancy folds, sometimes they're moving cards, kinetic card, bits with moving parts. We make templates for them and we make actual projects. And I have to say there was quite a lot of cake eating and chatting going on as well. It was a really, really nice morning. So let me know if you're interested in those classes. They run in Pilly, which is the next village to where I live. It's just outside Lymington, so not far from Lymington. If you know Lymington, Pilly is easy to get to. If you're interested, just let me know. So things I need to tell you today. People who have been my customers this year, whether that's for in-person classes, by post classes, or what's the word I'm looking for? Ordering from me, goodness me. Ordering from me should have received in the post an invitation to my customer thank you event and a big buy one get one free sale I'm running at the end of October. And I sent those out by post. I've heard from a lot of people, although there's still quite a lot of people that haven't RSVP'd yet. I would just like to remind you that if you've got one of these invitations sitting on the back of your desk, that RSVPs are closed today. It's really helpful, even if you can't come, if you let me know. And certainly if you can come, let me know, because I need to make up the card kits for you. It's a free thank you event, which I normally run every year, but I haven't been able to run one for a long time. I think the last one was 2019, because I couldn't run the one last year, and it's much later than I would normally run it this year as well. I usually combine it with the new catalogue starting. But nonetheless, I hope you will be able to come. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be doing crafting, I'll be doing some demonstrating, and I will have all my old retired stamps, dies, papers, card, all kinds of things, all priced up. And you can take those home free when you place an order for the same value from one of the current catalogues. So you buy the new stuff and you get the old stuff free. So that's always a fun event. Let me know if you haven't replied and you would like to come. I've got a message from Jan. So Jan works in the mornings. Well, that's bad luck, Jan. I'm sorry about that. If anybody knows of any afternoon craft classes, please let her know. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before, if anybody else has, Jan, but my good friend Nikki runs Inspired and Create in New Milton. So that's not too far from you. So you could have a look at her. I think she's got a Facebook page and she's also got a website, Inspired and Create. So you can have a look there and see what classes she's running. She brings in tutors as well as running some herself of all kinds of crafts, paper crafting, but all sorts of other things as well. I've done some teaching there. I've also been to classes as a participant there, and they're always great fun. So have a look there. She's also very open to putting on classes. If there's a class you like the look of, but it's at a time you can't make, she will try very hard to put it on at a time when you could make it. So she's always worth contacting, even if there's nothing there that looks like it's going to work with your timetable. Ask her if she can do something for you. She's lovely. She won't mind at all you asking. She'll be very happy to help. So that's Inspired and Create. I can't look up the website and tell you because all my technology is streaming me, but you should be able to find it. All right, it's also hard to believe, but Celebration is ending Thursday next week. That is the last day of Celebration. If you've had your eye on something and you've been writing things down on a wish list and thinking, oh yeah, I'll put in an order sometime, please don't wait till the last minute. You don't want to be there on your computer on Thursday evening and there's some glitch and your order won't go through and there's nobody around to help you. So please try to place your final Celebration order before Thursday. That's always a good plan. And then if there's a problem, I can help you. Remember that you get your free things if you're ordering stuff, and also during Celebration it's the usual brilliant deal to join Stamping Up. You get lots of free products when you join, and then you get a permanent discount on everything you order for as long as you stay with Stamping Up. But also, if you join before the end of Celebration, then you can choose one from a list of bundles of stamps and dies, or stamps and punches, absolutely free, and that adds on to some free products of your own choice as well. So it's a fantastic deal. Those free bundles you can choose when you join Stampin' Up are listed towards the back of the Celebration brochure. I can't remember how many of them there are, but there's quite a few, 10 or more, I believe. The number in my head is 19, but that sounds like too many, so I can't think, but there's quite a lot to choose from. So do take a look at that. When you join Stamping Up with me, you get access to the activities that I run for my team members. You can be a happy stamper, you can join Stamping Up and just craft for yourself, or you can share it with your family and friends, your children, grandchildren, whoever. Or you can run the odd class or take things to show any groups you might be a member of, or you can make it your full-time job like I have. So anything and all of those, and anything in between them, is absolutely fine. There's absolutely no compulsion to turn it into a full-time job, although if you would like to, I can help you do that. But if you just want to stamp and share the love by sending cards, that's also absolutely fine. And if you enjoy stamping, why not do it and get a discount off everything you buy? For me, it's a bit of a no-brainer, although I know sometimes people think maybe it's too good to be true. If you're interested, you can find more information on my website, or you can just contact me and I can answer any questions you've got. If you're thinking about joining, do it before the end of Thursday, because you get extra goodies that way, and I would hate for you to miss out. All right, my newsletter will be going out today. I missed it the last 2 weeks because I've taken a break, so if you're on my newsletter list, that will be winging its way into your inbox, I hope this afternoon, assuming that the interweb is working. And if you're not on my mailing list and would like to be, let me know. I send out a newsletter once a week generally, which is a roundup of anything I think you might be interested to know about Stamping Up, about special offers. I put in photographs of the project I make in this session, and I give you a link so you can watch it on YouTube in case you want to rewatch or missed it. I give you details of my classes, all sorts of things. Anything else that's come up in the week that I think might be of interest to you, I pop in there. And of course you can unsubscribe at any time. So if you'd like to get my newsletter, let me know. I have a separate mailing list for my classes as well. So when it's time to book a class, I send that out. I send a reminder out to remind you to come to the class that you've booked. And those two lists are separate. You can go on one or the other, or you can go on both. So if you'd like to, just let me know. All right, I think that is everything I had to tell you. Let me just see if I've missed any comments. A quick look at my trusty iPad. I did have a list of things I wanted to say. And let me check the comments. Okay, Jan, great. Well, hopefully Nikki can help you out. I don't know of anybody else running classes in the afternoons. Mostly people do them in the morning. Certainly my customers, by and large, prefer morning classes. Obviously, if they're working in the morning, that doesn't work so well, but they prefer them to evenings and weekends, although I do run the odd weekend class as well. Okay, right, so I'm going to cover you over and I'm going to attempt to turn you down to see my desktop so we can do some crafting. Last time I did this, I couldn't get anything in the right place, but I've fiddled around a little bit since then and I think I've got it cracked, so we'll see. So I'm going to cover you over, bear with me, and I will peel off the post-it note when I think we're there. Okay, I don't want you to feel motion sick as I do all this. Oops, here we go, moving everything around. Oh, and I've forgotten to change my settings. That's not good, is it? Let me just do that. Okay, otherwise everything's going to be upside down, and that is not good. Okay, I think I've I think I've done the right setting there. Right, let's try again. Okay, oops. Everything's coming loose. I'm still not used to this new stand. There we go. I think that's all tightened up now. Okay, so we'll see how that is. I should probably still have to fiddle a little bit. So you might like to look away until I tell you it's safe to look at the screen again. Okay, that's still not quite right, is it? I'm going to move a few things. See if that's improving it. No, that's making it worse, I think. Yeah, okay, the other way. If I wasn't one of those people that has to turn the map around, I would do much better at this. There we go. I think we're there. As best I can. You still got a little bit of my pink t-shirt, but hopefully you can see well enough. I'm not sure why I can't get a better view for you, because I'm sure this was easier to see before. Anyway, hopefully that is going to do it. All right, I'm still fiddling, aren't I? Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay, right, I'm going to stop moving, and I've just got to let my iPad catch up so I can see what you can see. And these things aren't backwards, so that's always progress. You can only see half of that, can't you? That's what is puzzling me. I can't quite understand why you can only see half of my desk. I thought I'd got this cracked, but I obviously haven't. That's better, isn't it? I think that's better. Okay, right. Straighten it up for you. All right, I can never ever remember which way to turn this to get it straight. Let's try that way. It's probably the wrong way. It's, yeah, is that, no, yes, it's there. Right, okay, so I'm going to get rid of some of these leads so that hopefully you are not watching the lead. Right, I think we're finally there. Okay, so I'm sorry for all the faffing, I really am. Every time I think I've got this sorted out, it seems I haven't. But there you go, it took me quite a while to get used to my last setup. So I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that this is taking me a little while as well. So today I decided that I would do easel cards. I have a feeling I might have done easel cards here before, but I couldn't find it on my list. So I thought that's okay, I shall do easel cards. Now I have got one to show you, and then I'm going to make one that's a little bit different. And I can see straight away that I have not got the ink colour I want, so you're going to have to give me a minute to get that. This is not very organised, is it? So an easel card then. If I put something on, I've got a little mini easel here. And it's not going to be easy to show you underneath the camera, but bear with me. Okay, so you've got a kind of a vertical view there. And if I tilt it slightly, I'm hoping that you'll be able to see. So when you have something on an easel, it sits on a little shelf like that and is displayed really nicely. So an easel card works on a similar principle in that you've got a pretty front to your card, and then it sits up against the little ledge and displays really nicely. And I'm turning it so that hopefully you can see, and I'll turn it on its side so you can see the sideways view as well. Like that. And then if I fold that flat, you can see, I hope, the idea behind the mechanism. Now they always look fiendishly complicated when you give these to somebody. First of all, I always have to put a little note in to tell them how to display it, because they quite often don't really understand how it works, but that's okay. But they are really quite impressive, and they are so easy to make. Honestly, you won't believe it. If you can make a flat card, you can make an easel card. And I'm going to show you how. But first, I'm going to have to get that ink, which I've just realised is in one of my boxes across the other side, because I'm not using these. I thought I'll make this a similar card, but I'll make it in slightly different colours for you. So my apologies for that. I'm going to take off my microphone. You'll hear me rummaging in a box, and I will be back very shortly. Bear with me. Okay, so let's hope the professionalism of this goes up a little bit, shall we? All right. So I'm using the Blackberry Beauty Suite for this card that I'm going to make. I've also used it for this one here. And you may or may not remember that today is the last day for taking orders for the Blackberry Beauty Suite sampler. So if you like what I'm using here, order your sampler. I know several of you have already. So all the papers we're using are in the kit. The card colour is in the kit. These little cutouts are in the kit. So if you'd like one of those sampler kits, let me know. All right. So the principle of making an easel card is straightforward. I've told you that. But what is the principle? Well, if you can make an ordinary flat card, you can make an easel card. So I'm going to make a large square card, but it doesn't really matter what kind of card you want to make. You can make them square, you can make them rectangular. You want your standard card base. So this one is 5 3/4 by 11.5. So that's going to give me a card that is 5 3/4 of an inch square. Why did I pick that size? Well, mainly because I've got some 6-inch square envelopes. So I wanted a card that was going to fit in that. And because when this is finished, it's a relatively bulky card. It's quite deep. You've got dimensionals there, and in my case I've also put dimensionals on this layer, and then you've got several folded layers of card as well. So I knew that that bulk was going to take up space in the envelope, so I didn't want to make a 6-inch square card. I thought I'll never get it in the envelope, it'll be too thick, so I've made one slightly smaller. So that's my thinking. So Kay, you're saying yes please. Is that for the sampler, Kay, or is that for anything else? Let me know. So this is my card base. So I've scored it down the middle exactly as I would normally. So that's my square card base. And then the only difference in the scoring to make an easel card is that I've scored the front in half as well. So on this one, it means that I've scored it at 2 7/8 of an inch and 5 3/4 inches. So I've scored it in half, and then I've scored the front in half. So when you're cutting your card base, pick numbers that are going to be relatively easy to halve. Otherwise, you're going to be fiddling around with, you know, 0.8 of a millimetre or something. And frankly, nobody's got time for that. So that's all you have to do. Fold your card base in half, fold the front in half. And I've got a mountain fold there to fold my card in half, and this is going to be a mountain fold as well. So both of those score lines fold in the same direction, if you like. So it's going to look like that. The sampler. Thank you, Kay. I will email you when I finish this, Kay. I'm pretty sure I've got your email. And give you details of payment. Okay. And then I will order that for you. Thank you very much indeed. So this is my card base, and then the second thing you need to make an easel card, other than all your decorative bits, is another piece of card that's exactly the same size as your card front. So in my case, my card is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. So this extra piece of card is 5 3/4 inches square. So again, it doesn't matter what size or shape card you're making. You just need your card base, and then you need an extra piece of card which is the same size as your card front. And after that, it's dead easy. Once you've done that, the rest really isn't tricky. So let's get this card made. So I'm working on my extra piece of card here, not my card base, my card that's the same size as the card front. I'm going to add a piece of the Blackberry Bliss paper, which is absolutely beautiful. I decided I would use the paper with the birds on it for this one, which is a particular favourite. So I've cut my paper just a little bit smaller than my piece of card. You can play around with these layers, you can make them whatever you want, and you can put as many layers on here as you like, or as few, doesn't matter. So the next thing I thought I would do would be dig into my Blackberry Beauty ephemera pack. So you get a whole pack of this in with the Blackberry Beauty sampler I'm sending out. So I've pulled out some of the pieces from that. So on this card I've already shown you, the frame is from that, and so is this lovely spray of oak leaves. For this card I've pulled out the same frame. I may have it round a different way, not sure. I've pulled out these flowers because they're like these that are on the paper, and then I have die cut from the paper one of these little birds. So that was using the coordinating dies, which are called Beautiful Leaves. So that's the little bird die. So those are my decorative pieces for the front. Additionally, I have a piece of early espresso card, which I've cut to give me just a really narrow border around that frame, just to set it off nicely, because the paper is quite busy, and if I put the frame straight on the paper it kind of gets a little bit lost. So I think it's better on the dark card. That's early espresso, did I say that? Mary's saying, what colour is my base colour? So my card base is early espresso, Mary. Sorry, I don't think I said that, did I? And this layer is early espresso as well. And I've got a piece of basic white which I'm going to stamp on. I'm going to pop that behind there like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is just think about where I'm going to stamp. Now, depending on which stamp you're using, you might want to pencil through there, or you might be able to just stamp in there, which is what I'm going to do. My stamp's not going to get caught up on anything there, so I think that I can use that directly. However, it was caught on something in my box, and I've now got little tiny shreds of paper on there. So let's clean the stamp before we start. If you've got these photopolymer stamps, you know that they are very slightly sticky, and so they do pick up fluff and various other things, and it's picked up some of these little tiny paper shreds, which hopefully I've now got off, and they're not going to impede my stamping. That looks better. Right, so I've got Happy Birthday, and I'm using Biggest Wish is the stamp set. I love this set. I love that you can mix and match the two different fonts, or you can just have the script, or you can just have the block letters. You can do half the greeting in one colour, half in another colour. I'm sure you've seen me use it multiple times. I do really like it. Okay, and I also need my early espresso ink, which I'm reaching across for. Oops. There we are. So I've got early espresso ink, I've got rich raspberry ink, and I've got a little bit on my paper. There we are. So I'm lining this up on my grid paper so it's straight, And I'm just going to stamp through the frame. I'm going to think about where I'm going to put my decorative little bits and pieces. I think that's going to go up the side there somewhere. And I should probably pop my bird coming in at the top, something like that. So that will inform where I put all my words. And there we go, that's the ones I want. So I think I'm going to use the 2 script stamps because the happy on this is just slightly smaller than the block letter one. So this says happy, and I'm using raspberry ink. And I'm going to stamp that down here. There we go. And then I'm going to use early espresso for the birthday word. So I can move that out of the way now. This is very dark. It probably looks brown on whatever device you're watching this on. It is actually purple. And it will go slightly paler as it dries. Let me lift that up. I'm still learning how to lift this and show you and keep it in focus. So my camera guru Belinda told me to lift it up slowly, which will hopefully give the camera a chance to focus. Not too bad. Okay, so I'm hoping that you could see those are 2 different colours. They look slightly odd at the moment, but I think they'll look better once I've got all the pieces in place. So I'm going to glue the frame to my card. So I'm just going to put some glue around the edge of this stamped card, right on the edge. And then I'm going to drop the frame on top and then turn it over, and I can still slide things if need be. Let's have a look. Slide that down a little bit. So what's wonderful, if you're not using this glue, you need to be, because you can just slide things like that before the glue actually grabs, but it does grab very, very fast nonetheless. So that's that. Then that is ready to go on this piece here, which will just set it off nicely, and then I'll put it onto my front panel before I add the decorative bits and pieces. And I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals. So I've got some edge pieces here which I think I'm going to use for speed. So they're actually, all the dimensionals are kind of die cut in the middle, and then there's a square around them that isn't die cut into the hexagons. So if you snip it at the corners, you end up with 4 pieces. And they are brilliant for using for all kinds of things like this. There we are. So I'll take the backing off all of those. All those bits and pieces in the bin. Right, so here's my layer here. Make sure my birds are up the right way. And then I'm going to pop this in the center. And then I can arrange my little extra pieces on here. Okay, so I've got these partially on my piece with the frame and partially off the edge of it. So where those pieces are off the edge of the frame, I'm actually going to put a dimensional underneath them, because if I hold that in place, you can see this bit here, there's a lot of movement there, and that's just going to get bent. The same with my little bird's tail. So let me have a look at those. I can't see where my mini dimensionals are. Honestly, you just can't get the staff, can you? So I'm just going to snip up a couple of these and just give me a smaller piece on the back of there. And down here. And then a piece on here. Just snip that a little bit more. There we go. And on here. Tidy that up. I don't want that to be seen from the front. There we go. So it looks a bit scrappy on the back, but it's going to work just fine. And then I shall just put glue on the bigger sections of the rest of this die cut piece. These are so pretty. I do love this ephemera pack. Got some on the bottom of the stem. No, missed that. Let's pop a little bit on here. There we go. So that's that, and that's nicely supported here now on these overhanging parts. And then I just need a little bit of a dimensional on my bird's tail. As I say, if you've got mini dimensionals, they would be even easier for this, and I do have them. I just don't have them in front of me. I have a feeling they're in that box that I haven't unpacked yet. Okay. So there's our bird. So that's my card front already. And this one is slightly more feminine than the first one, but I would send this to a man actually. My cousin will probably get it for his birthday, which is coming up. I'm sure he's not watching, so I'm safe to say that. But yeah, I think this is quite a nice masculine card, and I'm sure you're the same as me. It's not always the easiest thing in the world to design a masculine card, so I'm always happy when I do one that I really like. You can see that this is broadly the same design, and I often do this when I'm making cards. I'll make, you know, 2 or more which are similar but they're not identical. You can see the frame's the same, the sizes are the same. All that I've done is change the pattern of the paper, although it's from the same paper pack, and I've changed the decoration. So that's a very easy way to make 2 completely different cards, but with only the same amount of kind of designing time going into it. So now I bring back my card base, and I've got this with the center fold at the top, so it opens like this, and the fold that's in the center of the front is upwards as well, so this will fold like that. Now the really important thing to remember when you're making an easel card, putting all the bits together, is the glue goes on this bottom section of the front panel. If I put glue all over this and stick this down, I'll have a nice card and it'll open up and stand like that, but it won't easel. If I only fix it at the bottom where I'm holding it now, then when I lift up the front, there we go, that's our easel thing happening. So to remind me about what to do, I always glue the card base. I don't put my glue on my panel because I'm probably going to forget and just put it everywhere. Sometimes you've seen me actually do that live anyway, put glue where I didn't want it. So what I'm doing now is just putting glue, if I put this around the same way, on that bottom section of the front panel. So my fold is at the top, this is my bottom section. I'm using more glue than I normally would because there's going to be quite a lot of movement with this card. It's going to get opened and shut and opened and shut, and I just want this front section to be glued on there really firmly. So now I'm going to lay my decorative panel on here, making sure I've got it up the right way. So my fold is at the top, and that's the top of my card. So I've got my card this way around, and this is going to fit exactly on top of this card base. So it's very easy to line up. I'll pop it down and then I'll just pick it up and slide it if I need to, just to make sure everything is joined on nicely. And I'll just give that a minute to set up before I actually start moving it around. Put glue on there. Let me get my glue eraser here. Must be on my fingers, I think. There we are. Okay, so now you can see if I lift up the front of my card, it will tilt really nicely. Again, very hard to show you this, but it's working nicely. So that's my card base made. I'm just going to work on the inside now. So for the inside, I've got my insert piece. This espresso card is too dark to write on, so I wanted an insert. And just to make it a little bit prettier than usual, I've put a layer of paper down and then my insert on top. And I've made a little stopper piece here using the double oval punch. I've just used the scalloped section here because what we need is something that we can tuck this front edge of the card under like that so that it will stand properly. So you need a little something here lifted up on dimensionals. It doesn't matter what this is. It can be a die cut, it can be a stamped image that you've put onto a piece of card, it can be a punched shape, it can be anything you like. You don't want it to be too deep this way. It can be as long as you like this way. It could even be a strip that extends the whole width of the card. But you just want something that your front can tuck underneath like that. So let me do that for this card. So I've got some more of the paper with the birds on, and I've got a piece of basic white card to go over the top. So I am covering up quite a lot of those birds, but it will match the front, which is what I wanted. And I should have stamped that before I stuck it down, shouldn't I? Were you shouting at your computers and your phones and your tablets and saying, you haven't stamped it? And you're right, I haven't stamped it. So let's put that right. So this one I'm just going to stamp as I did the front. I'm just organising the word placement slightly differently because I'm dealing with a different shape. Well, luckily that went okay, but don't stick and then stamp. Do your stamping and then do your sticking, because if I had messed up that stamping, I've also messed up the whole thing, haven't I? Whereas if you're using just the card and you haven't stuck it to your paper, then you can turn it over and use the emergency side. Okay, so now I'm going to stick this inside. Now this doesn't go the full measurement of my card. If I was making an ordinary card, this would cover the whole of this, but you can see this covers the top section but not the bottom, and the reason for that is that I didn't want to see this sort of edge when my card was open. I didn't want it to sort of look like that. Now there's nothing wrong with that, but I just didn't want that. You can of course extend this all the way down to the bottom, and then you can pop your little stopper piece on top of your patterned paper. There's nothing wrong with doing that at all, but I chose just to let it go short. Okay, so I've got one of these pieces that I have punched from card, and I did have another bird, and I'm wondering if I put it in here. If not, I will grab one from somewhere else. Or I might use one of these actually. These are quite nice, aren't they? These little gold bits and pieces. I might use one of those on my stopper actually. I prepared all this before I went away on holiday, and I don't know what's happened. I don't think anybody's been rummaging in my craft boxes while I was away, but things don't seem to be where I left them. Yes, I'm going to use one of those little gold bits, I think. I just want something pretty to go on my stopper. I don't need it, I just want it. So for this one, I cut an oak leaf using those same Beautiful Leaves dies. So there's an oak leaf die in here. For this one, I'm just going to use the plain oval, and I'm going to snip a little bit of this out. I think we've got some gold on here. I've managed to bend that one as well, so that's probably a good one to cut off. And then I'm just going to rescue the leaf. Yeah, something like that. Now you can of course punch out a shape or die cut a shape and put a sentiment on it if you want to. It doesn't have to be something that's purely decorative. It can have a message on it too. I'm just trying to get my, there we go, get my glue to come out without splodging. I've got a new bottle of glue which is lovely, but it comes out quite fast if I don't watch it, and I only want tiny little dots on this. And that little leaf. There we are. So I'm also going to need dimensionals for this, because it needs to be raised up so that that front flap will tuck underneath. And I'm going to put the dimensionals on what's going to be the bottom or the frontmost part of this, and I'm not going to put them on this top bit, just so that there is plenty of space for that edge to tuck underneath. So I was just checking which is the top or the front or the bottom, whichever way you're thinking about it, of this, and which was not. So I haven't put dimensionals here, so I don't have any there. Now I'm just going to place this in the center of this bottom edge of my card. So I'm using grid paper, so it's very easy for me to center it. There we go. So I'm just using, this line in the mid is in the middle. So if I get that in the middle and I've got equal spacing either side, I know where my middle is. And I'm just going to pop my stopper in the center vertically, and then of course it's in the center that way as well. And then that is my card. One easel card. Let's pull that down. You can't see that, can you? It's better. So they are really difficult to show you, aren't they? which I'd forgotten. I do know this, but I had forgotten it. It's quite difficult to show you, but never mind. I will put some photographs up, probably be next week, that they'll go up on my Facebook page for you to see these. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to clear the decks. I'll leave those there for you to look at. I've got stamps to clean and bits and pieces to move. If you've got any questions, please ask. And then I've got one more card like this to make you, and then I'm going to show you how to do a variation. All right, let me move those out of the way. And then I have made a rectangular one, and yes, this is a Christmas card. Shock horror. I don't really do Christmas until at least October, but I just had to use these papers again. These are the Celebration pack called Penguin, I think Penguin Playmates, I believe is the right name for them. And they are so sweet. They coordinate with, there are penguins on them. I haven't used a penguin on the front here. They coordinate with the penguin bundle that's in the mini catalogue, which I don't have, but I do have these. So I've just cut these animals out. I'll show you a different configuration of them in a minute. The spotty paper is from the same pack, and this has got Christmas trees on it. And this stands up in exactly the same way. Not been watching my iPad. I think half of that was out of shot, wasn't it? I'm sorry, I'm not doing very well at this. I need to get back into doing these every week, and then hopefully everything will run smoothly. There we are. So the inside of my card is like this. The stamps I've used for the words are from Happy Holidays. So I've used Happy Christmas on the front, and then inside, wishing your family health and happiness throughout the coming year. And boy, do we all need that next year. Okay. So there we are. So that's that card. So I'm going to make one that's similar but slightly different again. So I've got my card base here. So I've had some measurements for that somewhere. I wonder where they went. I think they're over here. There we go. So this is going to make me a rectangular card. So it's 11.5 by 4 inches, and once again I've scored it in the middle like that, which in this case is at 5 3/4 inches, and then my card will go this way round, and I've scored across the front halfway down, which is at 2 7/8 inches. So measurements are the same for scoring as they were for the square card, but I've just cut it narrower, so it isn't a square, it's a rectangle. So that's then going to be our card base. And then I've got lots of pieces ready for the front. So my base is Misty Moonlight. So I have a Misty Moonlight layer that's exactly the same size as my card front, which is 4 inches by 5 3/4. And then I've got some other pieces to complete my card. So this is Fresh Freesia, which is a bit of an alternative Christmas colour, but I do really like it. This is just a tiny bit smaller. It's just 1/4 of an inch smaller all round. And then I have some patterned paper to go on that, which is from the same pack, Penguin Playmates, which is just 1/8 of an inch smaller all round. So depending on how big you want your borders to be, you can just cut each layer just a little bit smaller than the one before it. Feels bad covering up these happy little winter animals, but I'm going to do it anyway. Alright, so that's my layers for the front of my card done. So I'm now going to bring in the pieces to decorate them with. So I have a piece of Misty Moonlight card and a piece of the Penguin Playmates paper. I picked the design that's got the Christmas trees on it. And I've cut these using the layering circle. So this is the largest scalloped circle and the largest, I think the largest plain circle anyway. It's the one that fits nicely on there like that and gives us a little bit of a border. So I'll put that on there straight away. And then I've got 2 little characters from the paper, so I thought this time we'd go with a penguin. So I've cut him out, and I'm just going to finish cutting out this polar bear. I didn't think you needed to see me cut everything out, but I did think I would just finish him off, and then I can just talk to you a little bit. If you don't like fussy cutting, then some tips may help you enjoy it more. So you will see that I'm moving the paper. I'm not moving the hand with the scissors. I'm keeping that hand still. I'm obviously opening and closing the blades, but I've got the scissors in my dominant hand. I'm right-handed, and then I've got the paper in my left hand, and I'm moving the paper to get the right part underneath the scissor blades. I've also got my scissors angled downwards and away. So if I just let go a minute, I'm not trying to cut straight. I've angled them like that. And that, I think, makes it slightly easier as well. So that's a couple of tips for fussy cutting. The other thing, and I probably won't be able to show it to you on this, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but I always leave a very narrow border around the edge of what I'm cutting out. Because that way it's much easier to get it to look neat, because your eye can see the whole edge of the image, whereas if I was trying to cut on the line delineating that image, if I wobble, my eye will see that wobble, whereas if I've got a wobble in that little narrow background bit that was just the background on the paper, my eye doesn't really notice that. So that's something else you can do to make it easier for you to do fussy cutting. I think that's an American term, isn't it? I think we just call it cutting out. I tend to say fussy cutting, but there we go. So 2 happy little chappies there. We'll just glue those on. And then I'm just going to support those bits on the back with a little bit of dimensional again, just like I did on the first card. I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of the circle as well. I always use plenty of dimensionals because I post a lot of my cards and they go through all these rollers, don't they, in the sorting office, and I don't want the card to have big areas that are unsupported and that will get kind of squashed by the rollers, and then it'll come out dented instead of looking perfect. I got all of those off, I think I have. All right, so I'm going to set that aside while I attach this to my card front and then pop it on. So I've got my card the way up it's going to go, the fold is at the top, and I'm just going to put glue on this bottom section here. I am going to turn it just because it's easier to hold. And again, a little bit more glue than I would normally use to account for the movement when the card is opened and shut multiple times. There we are. Okay, and then this can go on here. It's probably going to go about there, but I have got a banner for the words, so let me do that first. And then I will be able to place that circle on the front much more easily. So I have Misty Moonlight ink. I've got Happy Christmas, which is from that Happy Holidays stamp set. Just got some white card here. Which I've just cut to fit the stamp. Hopefully that's straight, let's see. And then I've got some Misty Moonlight card here as well, just to give it a bit of contrast, because that stripy paper is quite busy, and I think this will just help it stand out. And then I'm going to flag the ends, so I'm just going to mark where the centre of that short edge is. I'm using my grid paper. And I'm just going to put a dent in it with my scissors. I could use a pencil mark, but I can see that dent. So I've marked the centre, and then I'm just going to snip in on that centre mark and then snip from the corners to the bottom of the mark like that. And actually I think I want a little bit more of a V, so I'll just cut that centre bit a little bit more and then recut from the corner. That's better. And then I'll do the same the other side. And doing it this way means that the top and bottom section of that banner end is going to be equal and even and symmetrical. There we are. So let's have a look. That's going to go down here somewhere, about there I think. And I'll stick these on. I took the backs off the dimensionals a little bit earlier, about there. And then I want dimensionals on the back of my banner. There we are. Now the only thing my card front needs is some sparkle. I've got these are left over from one of the card kits. If you haven't seen the card kits, they're not in the catalogue, but they are on my website. So you can go over to sallybowman.stampinup.net and look for the all-inclusive kits section, and you will find these there, and they are absolutely fantastic. And this is from the Notes of Cheer kit, and there's so much stuff in there that I always have things left over even when I've made all the cards. And these little sparkly rhinestones were left, and they're so pretty. I thought I would use some of them on here. They're kind of iridescent, they're sort of pink and blue, perfect for here. There we are. See if I can get them to catch the light a little bit. So that is my card front complete. So I just quickly need to finish the inside now, which is easy peasy. So similarly to the previous card, I've cut my pieces for the insert slightly short because I don't want them to show on the front. And there we go, I've got some Christmas tree paper, and I've got a piece of white, and actually I've got a piece of pink as well, a piece of fresh freesia. There we are, that's even nicer. So let's stick those two together. And then I'm going to stamp this before I stick it. Let me make sure I've got it the right way around, because it's a rectangle but it looks a bit like a square, so it would be easy for me to get that one wrong. Bring back my Misty Moonlight and my stamp, which isn't in the middle of the block, never mind. I'll work with what we've got. And that is my insert piece ready to go, and then we've just got the stopper to do and our card will be finished. There we are. So for the stopper, I'm going to use some of this stripy paper to match the front. I'm going to cut a scalloped rectangle out of it, and I'm making sure that the stripes are going horizontally. Now that's not very strong on its own if it's going to be up on dimensionals and supporting the front, so I'm going to glue it to a piece of card. And it will fit exactly because it's a punched shape, and then that just gives that a whole lot more stability. So that will go there, and then once again I want dimensionals on this part, but this part here I'm going to leave without them so that there's plenty of gap under the edge for the bottom edge of the front panel to tuck underneath. Again, make sure I've got it straight on here. Use my grid paper. I would be lost without grid paper. There we are. And then that just tucks in there beautifully. Hoping you can see that. I'm sorry, it's so awkward to show you these on here. I didn't think this one through, although I probably would have done them anyway because they are so much fun. So I'll pop those two there for you, and then I'm just going to dig out the variation I promised you. Oops, goodness me, sorry, got caught up in my lead, and yes, we nearly had a disaster there, but I think I saved it. There we are. Got a good view of my floor and my lap, but I think we're back now, hopefully. Let's sort that out for you. There we are. That's better. Okay, so I've shown you a square easel, I've shown you a rectangular easel card. What I'm going to do now, oops, I'm wearing a rhinestone. Let's stick that one down properly, did I? There we go. I'm going to now show you a variation which is a twisted easel card. So I've made a square one here. This is from a class I did a while ago. And this one twists as it opens. So I'll show you the side view if I can. There we go. So if I bring back one of those square ones to show you the difference, you can see that it sits completely differently. So here we've just got a rectangle at the front. This bottom edge is parallel to there, but on this one the parallel edge is actually at an angle to the front edge, so it's a twisted easel. So I'll just set that one up again just to show you, like that. So it's a completely different look, but you'll be glad to know that you make one of these in exactly the same way. So I'm not going to make one because we're out of time really, but I am going to show you the principle. So here's my card base. I've got a square card base. This is just, I think, probably a 4 inch, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 4 inches by 8 inches. The scoring for the middle is the same, so it folds in half as before. So I've scored it at 4 there, but instead of scoring the front section in half like that, I've scored it diagonally. Now it doesn't matter which way you score it diagonally, it can go either way. The way you score it affects which way the front of the card twists, whether it twists that way or twists that way, but other than that it makes no difference at all. So you fold that exactly as we've previously done, and this time when it folds up you can see that it just twists around like that. So this point twists and comes into the middle. You need a second piece to go on the front, exactly the same size, just as we've been doing, and this is the bit that you've been decorating. But what's really important with a twisted easel card is that if I turn it around this way, so that's my fold, I've marked the top of my card. If I put it on that way, then when the easel twists, let me work out which way I'm folding it that way. You can, oops, there we go. Let's do that again. You will end up, can you see, with the design on your card sideways. It needs to be up like that. So when you put your card together, when you've decorated your front and you put it onto the easel section, you put glue on this section here, the bottom section once again, so the principle's the same, but you have to think about which way you want your decoration to go when the card is finished. So if that's the top of my card and I want it to stand up this way, then when I glue it down, I've actually got to put it on there sideways, with the top facing in a different direction to the way I think. I'm hoping that's clear. If you need me to run through that again, type a quick comment. You can make these rectangular as well. So here's one with a rectangular base. This is the same size as the the Christmas card I just made. And I'm just going to stand it up. There we go. Slightly different look because it's rectangular. You can see this one I've attached the front, and you can see if this is my card top, again it's facing that way. It'll face the other way if you've done your diagonal the other way. And you will put your stopper here, just as for a standard easel card, like that. But this time the stopper kind of comes in from the corner. But if I always lift up my card front and just think about where do I want it to sit, and that's where my stopper goes. So there we go. Easel cards square, easel cards rectangular, and twisted easel card. So I hope you have enjoyed those. I'll leave the camera on those just for a moment, and then I will just turn it back up to say goodbye to you. you've got any last questions, pop them in there. If you haven't, you can always send me a question via any of the usual methods. I'm always happy to answer questions. But easel cards are lovely. I really hope you'll give them a go if there's something that's new to you or something that you've hesitated to try at home. You may have made them at a class, but they really aren't difficult. Cut your card base, fold it in half, fold the front in half, and then just decorate. Easy peasy. Okay, I'm going to cover you over and move everything up again. I'm obviously not tightening these screws nearly enough because that one has slipped again. Let me just there we go, take off the reverse and I'm back. Okay, there we go. So thank you so much for joining me again. It's lovely to be back, and I'm going to be here again next week, next Friday at 2 o'clock. Next Friday's theme is trees and leaves. It seems apt. Will be the first day of October, so I thought, yes, let's do something with trees and leaves. So I'll look forward very much to seeing you soon. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope the weather holds, and I'll see you again next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.